Good. Matt Michaelis, good to see you.
Great to see you.
Welcome to Austin, Texas.
Thank you. It's great to be
Have
here.
you been here, I assume, a few times?
A few times?
A few? Just to say a few.
Yeah, just a few. Not as much as I'd like. I love Austin. It's a great place.
And where's home for you?
Wichita, Kansas.
Born and raised?
Born and raised.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a great place.
And you're a Jayhawk?
I am. Went to the University of Kansas.
Okay.
Huge Jayhawk fan.
My daughter is eyeballing Kansas, so
It's a great school.
that's what I hear.
Yeah.
I haven't visited yet, but that's on the list of things to take a look at.
Yeah.
So
Let us know when you visit.
I will. So tell us a little bit about Emprise.
Emprise has been in our family since 1965. My grandfather got involved, and it's been my dad's sole professional pursuit, which is beyond impressive to me. Grown it from a $20 million bank to now almost $2.5 billion. I stepped into the leadership role about 6 years ago. Have really tried to bring digital to our customers in a really meaningful way. And now we're on a journey around supporting embedded finance.
Yeah, I saw that. That's
Yeah.
cool. So I think this is a fun fact for me. It was, at least, I think I saw that you have art collection.
We do.
Okay.
That is my father's passion.
Okay.
And it's all Kansas art, right? We're a Kansas company and a Kansas family. So all the artists have ties to Kansas. So it's a great story. It's a great theme. And the best part about it is when our employees move to a new office or a new location, they get to choose the art that goes around them. So they have real input into what their work environment looks like.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
They love it.
That's cool.
Yeah, they love it.
How is it, like, peppered around the corporate offices, or like?
Oh, yes.
Is it?
Corporate offices, our branches, everywhere.
Okay. I got to come up and see that.
Yeah, you have to. Well, he will take you on a tour, block off as much time as you have. He'll take half a day easily. So he loves it.
That's cool.
And he'll tell you all the backstory. He's met many of the artists, and for him, that's the real passion piece, is the people.
Yeah.
And so he'll tell you about each of the artists. It's
Well,
fun.
it's funny. I share that same passion for people, hence our conversation today. So Fintech House, crazy, lots of great conversations. It's been wonderful to hear people's backgrounds. And I asked you this, I want to ask how you got started in it, but I kind of have a sense because your dad was in it. But like, what was it like growing up with a dad leading the business that now you're leading?
Yeah. I'm not sure I appreciated how wonderful it was until I actually got involved in the business and had a chance to work with him directly. I think I knew he worked hard, but I didn't. I think he did a nice job of when he was home, he was home. And so I didn't have a lot of direct insight into the business as I was growing up. I worked there a couple of summers then as I was in high school and college, kind of as a teller, and got to see what that looked like. And that was fun. I loved being a teller because you got to engage with people all day.
Yeah.
And then I actually, when I graduated, I had an opportunity to go work in New York. And so I took that and enjoyed what I did there. And that turned into 20 years. So I wasn't sure I was actually going to work in the family business. And then, as I mentioned, kind of 2016, 17, I made a decision, started to transition into the company. It's been terrific to get to work with my dad. I mean, that's really been a highlight, something that if I would have known that it was that rewarding, I would have done it much, much earlier.
What a gift. I think I would love one day for my kids to want to work with me. We'll see. But that's what a gift that you guys get to spend that kind of time together, not only as father, son on a personal level, but then in the family, but then in a business, particularly a business like Emprise.
Yeah. It really has been a gift. It's been incredibly rewarding. I know not all father-son combinations work well in family business, but for us, it's been terrific.
And what role are you, like, when you guys think about your roles, what's your dad's role these days compared to where you are? Have you completely taken over the bank? And
well, he's still very involved and will always be my dad. He's on our board. He's the vice chair.
Yeah.
He still joins loan committee when he's around. But he also travels. He and my mom travel more now. And when he travels, he's pretty good at disconnecting. And
Yeah.
that's great.
good, he should. He's earned it, right?
He's earned it.
So you mentioned embedded finance. As you think about all the word fintech and the industry we work in, how are you guys using fintech to better serve your customers and at this point?
Well, they will give us a much greater reach.
Mm-hmm.
They'll allow us to impact far more people than we would just out of our physical footprint, right?
Yeah.
Because we're pretty constrained geographically. So we think about using our embedded finance platform to empower, whether it's consumer brands, fintechs, whatever the platform may be, to expand our reach and our impact dramatically.
Yeah. What are some examples when you talk about reach and impact and maybe some of those relationships?
Mm-hmm. Well, there are many, many, many examples, but one that comes to mind, and I'll use one that's kind of out in the industry. We're relatively new in this journey, right? And so we're hoping to build some of these relationships and add these partnerships. But one that is commonly referred to as like the Uber driver experience, right? Where they've embedded a financial services into the driver dashboard, and then that allows them to get paid quicker and manage their finances, right? So that has real impact in a positive way on those employees.
Yeah.
So we think about doing that more broadly.
Yeah.
In other examples, other companies, other tech companies, and there are other platforms where that makes sense as well.
Yeah. And are there particular, when you think about helping more people and more businesses, do you have particular verticals you guys try to serve, or like you mentioned in this case, transportation?
We're not specific to a vertical. We support consumers, we support small businesses, and we'll kind of push product into any of the into any vertical. We don't have specialized products yet for specific verticals, and often that's what the fintech or the platform, they'll take our products and they'll customize them, or they'll integrate them into their existing products so that they add capabilities and features.
Yeah. What do you think, like with what you're seeing going on in the industry, what are some of the biggest challenges Emprise is facing right now, would you say?
Well, I think we're all, as you think about banking as a service, the regulatory environment right now is at the top of the list. I think we're all learning what the expectations are and working hard to meet those. But clearly, the regulators are taking action in a lot of places, and so we're trying to learn from each of those and continue to build our capabilities.
Yeah, so you're having to work directly with the regulators in a sense to thinking about the capabilities, what you want to build, how you build it, how you go to market with it. I assume all those things.
Right. I mean, what we really want to understand is what their expectations are.
Yeah.
I mean, we think we know. We learn with each consent order. We learn a little bit more and a little bit more. But it really is trying to make sure that we're able to live up to the expectations that they have.
You can imagine that's pretty challenging, right? Because the regulators aren't in the Emprise business, but they have knowledge, might have some knowledge, but are they not counting on Emprise and other financial companies to help the regulators understand, based on consumer and business needs, what can be built, how to build it, how to regulate it, how to protect everybody?
Well, I think the regulators are learning too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're and we've seen progress in that direction, but they're learning along with everybody else around what does this mean, what are the expectations, what should they be, and so I think we're all trying to work through this together.
Yeah, it's tough. I've heard a lot of that in the conversations this weekend, working with the regulatory bodies and making sure everybody's on the same page. We're all dealing with the same uncertainty, I think, of ever-changing technology, ever-changing consumer and business needs, but then working within the infrastructure of the financial system, like it has to work. And it's one thing that I've been hearing a lot about. There's no room for error. You can't make a mistake. So innovating while you're flying down the road, so to speak, without making any mistakes, that's hard. It's got to be very difficult.
It's very hard. But again, I think we have a view of what we believe the expectations are, right? And we're building to that. We'll continue, I'm sure, to get feedback, whether directly or indirectly.
Yeah.
And to me, it's critical to maintain that relationship with the regulators in a positive manner. And I think to the extent that we continue to do that, they do understand that not everything is perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And then you have some opportunity to correct
Thank
that.
goodness we're people, right? We do make mistakes time to time.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always say, while much of what we do in the sponsor banking business is very similar to what we do in our core business, right? I mean, it's still deposits and lending and payments. It's some of the same activity. It is different when you have a different entity in between yourself and the end customer. And so that's really the piece that we're learning. How does all that work?
Learning quite a bit, yeah.
Work well to support the fintech or the consumer brand and the end customer, but also do it in a way that's regulatorily compliant.
Yeah. And where do you see, it's hard to predict. None of us have the magic balls, but where do you see this go in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you have any, I'm not gonna say predictions unless you want to call it that, but like just any thoughts on where this might be leading us?
Well, I think as an industry, I mean, when I think about embedded finance, I think that will continue to grow. I think there's all sorts of rationale for financial services to be more and more embedded in where people live, work, and play digitally.
Yeah.
I think that will likely lead to consumers having more and more accounts at different places, but they'll be in places where they are already from a digital perspective, right? From a regulatory perspective, we'll get through this. The industry will get through it. As it continues to mature, there will be clearer expectations around what banks have to be able to do to offer the service compliantly. And I think it'll be that will actually help adoption. That will help that certainty will help everybody know exactly what they have to do. And I would anticipate that we kind of continue to see more banks moving into the space as there is more clarity around what they need to do.
Yeah. We've seen a lot of, we talk about the term neobank, a lot of interesting new ways of banking coming out. Anything about Emprise Bank that you wish more people knew?
It's a great question. We continue to lean heavily into our sponsor banking growth opportunities, but we're also a really strong community bank, and we won't give that up either. We continue to invest in our established business. I mean, it's important for us to serve the communities that we're in and serve them with the best experiences we can possibly deliver to our customers.
That's great. And you have a unique perspective because you are a community bank, but yet you're doing these other interesting things. For someone that might be interested in getting into the fintech or financial space, with all the experience and all the exposure you've had to it, any advice you might share with them?
I think it's a great space to be in. I mean, I think it's the intersection of financial services and technology is exploding and will continue to. Everything. Spent a couple of days now wandering around Austin, listening to a bunch of people talk about and evangelize around technology. It's not slowing down.
Yeah.
Right. It's only speeding up. And what I always tell our team is the world will never again move as slowly as it is today. And I just think the opportunities will continue to present themselves in interesting ways at the intersection of technology and financial services. So get involved, jump in.
Yeah. People, I hear people think when they think about finance, particularly when I talk about it with them, they use the word sometimes boring or stodgy. I'm like, you have no idea. It might appear that way because of the stability of the systems that we've built, but it's so untrue when you crack it open, like what we're doing here this weekend and the folks you're talking to.
I think we're at a great place, right? Because we are regulated. There are things that as we were talking earlier, that we can't do and shouldn't be doing. But at the same time, we're engaged in the technology world, which is moving as quickly as anything. And so I feel like we're in a great, again, kind of this great intersection of innovation, yet some security and predictability.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting times. The next 5 years, whatever they look like, with the embedded finance, that seems to be a theme I'm hearing a lot about. That's going to be pretty interesting. So last question. This is something that I've been thinking quite a bit about when we think societally from a trust perspective. Trust has never been an all-time low in my lifetime. And I think about the work that we do in the financial system, so critical that people trust the financial system. And I'm curious your thoughts on how we could do a better job as an industry, or maybe an enterprise, or as individuals, build trust back into the work that we're doing and to restore some of the faith I think that folks have lost.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. I look at the Silicon Valley bank failure as a.
This was last year. We're not talking about that this year.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That was this weekend last year. I remember many of the conversations I was having that weekend, but I think that was incredibly damaging from a public trust perspective in our industry. That whole series of events. So the only thing that I can say is, we continue to serve each customer best we can, continue to try and regain that trust, engage proactively with them. I think system wide, that's a question for somebody with a bigger job than I have. But the way that we think about it is, again, just serving our communities, whether there are the towns that we have physical locations in, or whether there are our technology partners and programs, serving those communities with integrity and delivering the best experience we can.
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful answer. Relationship is like the theme I'm hearing, and it's, if we understand each other, we have our best interests in mind. And that's what's been so warming to me, is to hear all of folks like you that are leading these companies, that theme of doing the right thing, serving the customers, being authentic, building that relationship and really caring about it and serving them in a meaningful way is really feels good to know that I'm in an industry and I get to support cool companies like Emprise that are trying to fulfill on that every day. As hard as it is, but that's good stuff.
We're a relationship business.
Yeah.
We value that. That's what we've been built on since 1965. And, that is just who we are and how we do business. And whether that's in person, whether that's through a digital channel, we extend that relationship model into the fintech partnerships and our banking as a service business. That's just how we do business. And that's important to us.
That's good stuff. I want to come and see you.
Please do. Anytime. We'll get an art tour for you.
Yes. All right. Thanks, Matt. So much fun.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's great to see you. Thank you for the conversation.
Good to see you too.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you've enjoyed what you've heard, don't forget to hit subscribe. And if you'd like to learn more about Customer and the work we're doing building financial and fintech brands and businesses, please visit our website, customer.com. That's CSTMR.com. Or you can find us interacting with clients and sharing insights on LinkedIn. All of these links will be in the show notes.